Hi, in this video, we're going to walk through the steps to perform a pressure test in Sumitomo Electric's FutureFLEX air-blown fiber solution. You must do this pressure test and obstruction test after the installation of all tube cables, tube distribution units, and after all fittings and couplers have been installed. This is done to check that your tube cable route has airtight integrity from one end of your route to another. Let's get started.
You will need a nitrogen tank with a pressure regulator, BREG02, and the correct 8mm tubing adapter, BEH006. You will also need some extra 8mm jumper tubing and couplers to connect to the route you are testing. Grab yourself a tubing cutter, which is provided in the blowing head kit.
Remember to also print out extra test sheets to record your results. You can make copies of the last page of SRP3 or print out extra sheets from the LFI portal on our website.
You will need a bypass switch, which is part of the BEPT001 tube test kit. A small 1 and a small 2 are stamped on each end, as well as 3 stamped to the bottom of the bypass switch. Your gas input needs to go through end 1, and output is end 2. Do a continuity check to make sure you and your partner are working with the same tube before you connect the pressure gauge on the other end. To do this, hook your nitrogen tank with pressure regulator and 8mm tubing adapter up to your bypass switch in the 1 position. That's toward the tank. Then, hook up jumper tubing to your route. The person at the nitrogen tank then lets the person at the other end know they will be turning on the air. Turn the T-handle on the pressure regulator to get 150 psi, then turn the bypass switch toward the 2 direction. This will allow the air to flow through, and if the person at the other end feel air, you're on the right tube. Turn the switch back toward the tank to let the air out. Make sure that your route has been depressurized, so you can safely put on the pressure gauge at the far end. Once the pressure gauge is on, flip the bypass switch forward, and you will need to wait a few minutes, depending on how long your route is. The general rule of thumb is that it takes 20 to 30 seconds to charge 1,000 feet of tubing. Once your pressure gauge stabilizes at 150 psi, you're going to tell the person at the nitrogen tank to cut off the pressure from the tank. Do not touch the bypass switch at this time. Hold the 150 psi pressure for about 10 seconds in the tubing line. If the tube doesn't test between 145 psi and 150 psi for 10 seconds, you will need to record the failure on your test sheet, troubleshoot, and retest until it comes out right. Make note on the test sheet of what you did on your troubleshoot. Finally, after reading the gauge and recording the results, release the air from the line by flipping the bypass switch backward.
Now you're ready to perform the next test. If you have any additional questions, go to SumitomoElectricLightwave.com.